welcome to our Ashes of Creation live stream. We hope that you have been having a wonderful month. I know we have.
Yes.
February has been fantastic for us, and we've had the love in the air. It's so sweet. We hope that you enjoy all of our wonderful Valentine's Day cards that we sent out. I know my team had a really tons of fun coming up with like all of the ideas for those, and working with the art and character team to grab some assets so that we could make some really cute cards.
I thought
We
that
even
was
printed
really
out
cool.
copies for all of our office.
I know.
We all got
and we
little
got candy.
cards.
Yeah, and I put little candy bags together.
We had starbursts and
There was a underground market for different colors.
I know
people were trading.
Yeah.
And so we just had a lot of fun in the office for that. It was just something simple that we could do in the morning. And then, of course, we had a lot of fun on our end. We kind of split up, and we had each of our teammates kind of working on like Instagram and Facebook and Twitter so we could respond to you guys really quickly. We made a lot of assets, so our graphics designers being amazing.
Killing
and of course,
it.
if you're watching our live stream right now, you probably saw it earlier in the stream. If you're watching it live on twitch.tv/Ashes of Creation, we actually are spotlighting some of our fan art. So we do Fan Art Friday already on like our social platforms. So if you haven't checked out our social platforms, we do a lot of posts like weekly.
Yeah.
We're posting stuff all the time. So definitely come follow us on
And
all
we
of
have
those.
some recurring stars among our fan
Yeah.
Fridays, such as Z, who does an unbelievable job. So shout out to Z.
Yeah, Z does amazing stuff, like from clay creations to cosplay to art. Like, just I'm amazed by the content that everyone makes. And
I know.
We have so many talented people in our community. So thank you so much for sharing your talent with us.
Yes.
And, I know
Helping to build the community, right? Like it kind of
Absolutely.
brings everybody in. It feels like a cool little family.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it feels good. And obviously we're still like early in development, so we appreciate everybody following along with our development. And so that's what this live stream is all about. If you've never tuned into our development updates, we basically go over all of our content that we're working on internally. Not all of it, because we can't show you everything, but we try to show you kind of a progress of where we are. Next month's gonna be a big one. So tell your grandma, get your pet, everybody ready. Get some popcorn, because next month's going to be really fun for us. We're going to be showing off some Alpha 1 early access content.
Yes.
But we will be talking a little bit about what you can expect to see that month.
And
Next
we'll
month.
lead up to it too. I
Yeah.
think you got some plans for fun little previews leading up to the stream next month.
Yeah, we'll have some content on our social platforms, so stay tuned. We'll be posting that over there, so keep your eyes peeled. So we'll be going over our studio update from Steven, design update with Jeff. We have character art update with Chris Atkins, and our environment update with the one, the only Bacon. Everyone loves Bacon.
Yay.
loves
Everyone
bacon. Quickly, we'll just introduce ourselves. I'm Margaret Krohn. I'm your community marketing lead, and then we have Steven Sharif, who is our creative director.
Hello.
And Jeff Bard, who is our resident bard. No,
It's
just kidding.
true.
He just plays music all day. That's all he does. No.
That's all I do.
He's
I
our
keep the
lead-
morale high in the office.
He's our lead designer.
Very early, actually, in the studio's life cycle, Jeff Bard was a true bard.
I was a true,
true bard.
I did everything.
Literally everything.
Jack of all trades.
From
Yeah.
IT to engineering to design to story.
Gotta make it work somehow.
Yeah, exactly.
I saw you on the Instagram doing
Yep.
little.
Oh yeah,
'cause,
absolutely.
you know, when I-
Community marketing.
Yeah, when I first started, I kind of like, obviously before I even started, I was like looking at all the content you all did, and I came to the table on day one with like a whole list of here's what I want to
Let's do
accomplish.
this stuff.
Which might have been overwhelming. I'm
No,
sorry.
it was great.
So I just want to give you guys quick updates. We have a new dev discussion coming out next month. We've already had the one that's this month. We've already sent the feedback to the design team. They've sent us a new question.
Yep.
You guys have actually sent us questions for the entire month already, or the entire year. So we're already
have
like
lots of data we wanna
prepared.
collect.
Yeah. And obviously, as we get further into different development phases, the questions kind of change. So keep that in mind. And all of your questions are being kind of like put together in a report. And Sarah, aka Toast, she's amazing, has been putting together these amazing reports that allow us to kind of quickly consume that data and understand what you guys are wanting
What
out
the
of
pulse
content.
of the community is.
And then, of course, we are going to be having our monthly cosmetic swap over on Wednesday, March 4th, 2020. I usually don't say the date, but someone was asking me if I could do that on the live stream. So there you go. It's going to be the date there. We will be showing you what those are. They're really cool for this next month.
I can't believe we're in 2020.
I can't believe we're in March of 2020.
It's March.
I feel like it's 1999.
Crazy. I mean, well, it's technically February, but we're moving into March, and it scares me. It's just... I blinked and the year has just happened. So let's get into our studio update. Stephen, you want to kind of talk about all of the things? I think the first thing that we wanted to talk about is kind of our plans for GDC, because that is changing a little bit due to
so we do have an announcement to make. You might have already heard. I was in Discord this morning talking a little bit about it, but yesterday I made the decision to back out of our plans for attending GDC. As you guys are probably well aware, there's definitely some concerns out there from a public health standpoint with regards to the COVID-19 virus. And there has been a lot of big studios and other companies who have decided to refrain from participating in GDC, and I felt that it was necessary for us to do the same. So we will not be attending GDC as of today. And what instead we're going to do is still present to you guys our Alpha 1 preview that we were intending to show on the floor at GDC. But instead we'll be doing it with you on a stream together. So we're still going to be showing off the hard work that everybody in the studio has been working towards with regards to Alpha 1. And we're going to have a little bit more interaction. Maybe we'll do a double take instead of just a single stream. I don't know. I think we'll
figure it out as we go along and what you guys' reaction to it is.
We'll see kind of where design is ready to go. I know we'll have some kind of little teasers coming up before that live stream as well, so stay tuned for those. And then of course the live stream will be kind of a live experience. It's probably going to be different than this game development update. We'll maybe go over like quick updates and things of that sort, but the entire live stream might not have our other teams on it.
Right.
It might just be more of a kind of walking you guys through like live content in our early access of Alpha 1. So that kind of covers that. I think.
And then additionally, with regards to studio update, we've been having great success bringing on board additional personnel. We've found some incredible talent over the past couple of months, and we're still looking for a plethora of additional talent.
Yes, we will never stop looking.
We've been posting about that on a lot of our social media content places, so stay tuned for that. And then also, LinkedIn is a great place. We've constantly been posting things over there, and we're trying to kind of showcase more of the Intrepid lifestyle too. So you've probably been seeing some of those
lifestyle.
Yeah,
Danielle, Margaret, and Sarah
here.
have been doing a great job kind of showing off really what the studio environment like, what's our culture like, what it means to be an Intrepider.
Yeah. Well, we have some of it prepared. You maybe haven't seen it yet, but that's something that we've been working towards. So we've been taking footage and photos and things of that sort, and we'll be posting those things on our LinkedIn, trying to entice people to come join us, because we do have an amazing group of people. I just love everybody that we've
we have built a very cool team, and it's a whole lot of fun to come to work every day. So
I did want to backtrack for one moment on GDC. We are still going to be doing some like conference call meetings, so we are still going to be doing our B2B meetings. Correct. We're just not going to be doing them face to face. So we'll be kind of working with people through like telecom.
And for those of you who aren't aware of what GDC is, it's a game developers conference that's up in San Francisco in March. It's generally intended for networking, the ability to kind of hire business to business, and
not said B2B.
Figure out what's going on in the industry right now. Like what is the state of the art, and what are people doing? So.
Yeah.
And we will still conduct those meetings. It's important, obviously, for us to do that. We'll just be doing it through teleconferencing. So
I just wanted to put that out there too. Is like that doesn't change what kind
Our
of partnerships
really
we're trying to work towards,
Yes.
and what we're trying to work towards as a company. We're still going to be moving forward with those things too. And I guess the last two things are kind of quick chat things. I don't know if you want to discuss with those.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will
be
be planning to showcase off the new studio when we do complete the move with some tours and stuff.
Yeah.
Which will be coming soon. I know I've said soon for the past few months, but it will be coming very soon.
We're in the same boat as you.
We'll be coming soon. But yeah, generally things have been going very well here at the studios. We've been progressing very well towards our Alpha 1, and we're very excited.
Yeah, and I think the only other question people had, there's a lot of questions people have, but one of the questions that we get a little bit often is the Zola stuff and what we're going to be changing, or what that's going to be going on.
So that takes a little bit of a process. That's something that we still are intending to do. We will be moving away from Zola, but it takes a little bit of process from our platform side, and there are some other more prudent tasks that are ahead of that. Additionally, the way we're going to approach that type of merchant services in more of a modular fashion, where we're not so built around one specific merchant service, but rather can be more modularized and changed if we want to in the future again. So.
Yeah, and we do have some platform positions available on the website, so if you're looking for a job, we got you. Actually, we'd love you. Come join us. One of us.
One of us.
Yeah. So let's move into design goodies.
Yeah.
Hey, you don't have to leave?
No, I'm here today.
Yay!
So first, let's talk about your progress with Alpha 1, and then we'll go over kind of like the teaser plans that people can expect to see in the walkthrough next month.
Yep. So so since the beginning of the year, we've kind of been marching pretty strongly towards this sort of March milestone, with GDC as kind of the ultimate goal of it, being able to show off to partners that we want to talk to and other people who are interested in the project, kind of where we're at and what the state of the game is. So it's been really nice and sort of giving us a really focused goal to get to. Kind of the goal is to have hybrid combat mostly figured out. We'll still have a lot of iterations to go beyond this, but kind of figuring out how action actually works in the MMO with all the things that we learned from APOC.
And what classes will people see with that action combat for this teaser?
Again, you're going to kind of see it more weapon-based, but right now the focus is the cleric, the tank, and the mage, and sort of integrating those things. We're still working on the other classes behind the scenes, but like to make sure that action works, focusing on a smaller section of that works better for us. And
it's always important to do that, obviously, when there's still going to be a significant amount of iteration.
Oh, yeah.
Especially for the testing phases that we intend to move towards with Alpha 1. We don't want to lay in cement, this approach.
Right, until we know how it works and how it actually feels, because you don't want to have to redo all that work once you're there. So that's been a big focus of ours, is kind of like making sure all that integration works the way that we want to. We're still not quite there yet, but I'm certainly pretty happy with the progress that we've made so far. We've been working a lot on sort of monster behaviors and how the monsters work in the world and how they interact with the nodes. So that's been a big sort of content task, kind of trying out different solutions.
I tried to get some content from him early, but he was like, Maggie, if the live stream was just, a week later.
A week later,
no.
there would have been some cool things to show.
In March, we're going to show everything off.
I know, but I was trying to get a little extra teaser. But you'll get some more teasers, coming. So
yeah. So we're kind of at the point where we're kind of pulling everything together right now, and kind of we'll see what the soup looks like probably next week, and have a good feeling for what we're going to be showing. Not at GDC, but for GDC.
We'll supply the bowls and the spoons.
Yep, plenty of spoons.
I think you said bowls at first.
Bowls?
Do we have
he said
bowls?
soup. He said he's
I said
preparing.
soup.
He said he's preparing
She was continuing the metaphor.
Yeah.
Got it.
I think I'm getting coronavirus.
Please don't.
Don't do that.
I'm just kidding.
Where's your mask?
Okay. I know, right?
Put your mask on, Steve.
Oh my god.
He does walk around with a mask.
I do sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's also been working a lot on sort of the tech that goes into the leveling up of nodes, trying to make that a more figure out sort of what the experience of like the actual switch from a level 2 node to a level 3 node feels like, so that we have a good path going forward on that. So
in regards to that, what can people kind of expect to see next month regarding like the nodes and the progression of them?
Let's put a pin on that, and we can wait until we actually show them. I don't want to.
We don't want to sour this surprise.
Yeah, because I think it's going to be pretty cool. There's some cool stuff that we're doing that has turned out really well for kind of what we're doing. So we're excited about it.
Yeah. I know he was really excited about it, but he also just wants to share it.
I do. I want to share it, but again, it needs to be. We need a few more days to bake it out and make sure that all that stuff is all cleaned up.
And QA's been going through the builds of Alpha 1 and finding all of the bugs.
Amazing stuff. We found out how many caravans we can spawn on the screen at the same time.
Yeah.
We should share that video.
That was a good test. The answer is a lot more than you would expect.
It's pretty funny.
And they fit in places I wouldn't expect them to fit. So.
It was pretty good. We were all like, what is happening here?
That is funny.
And of course, you've been talking about the progress of Alpha 1 and where you guys are. what kind of content will people be able to consume when they're playing? Like, what's that experience?
For Alpha 1, I mean, it's going to be a pretty broad swath of most, if not all, of our systems.
Most of the systems. There's a few.
There are
that
a few
we're
that
pushing
won't be there, but the core systems will all be there. Now, it's not going to be the full depth of everything, right? It'll be the breadth of everything. So there'll be some crafting, there'll be some gathering, there'll be some, all those trade skills will be represented in some fashion. It won't be the whole entire tree.
And in regards to that, it'll be very much more simplified versions of those, not like the next stage.
Yeah, those are the
phase,
initial
right?
implementations.
Right. The stuff that we'll be building off of.
Right, and that's kind of the core gameplay loop of those systems are going to be present, and then they'll be fleshed out later in Alpha 2 and have more, polished.
So you'll get a sense of what they do, but maybe not the ultimate complexity of where we'll end up, right?
Yeah, and one of the things that we're really going to be doing during the Alpha 1 Phase 2, and I'm working with the team that's going to be playing that, is kind of just making sure that we test different types of things. So,
Right.
One patch will have a different type of combat stuff.
Yeah, very often what we'll do is we'll have really focused testing sessions, like generally during the week, it just might be kind of free play, but then like certain points during the week or the weekday or at nights maybe we'll say like, okay, we're going to shut all these things off except for this one system, and now let's just focus on this one boss over and over again and kind of see how the mechanics that we're working on for that
and
thing
gather
work.
all the day tests.
And later in the year, when we actually announce the date for Alpha 1, it's important to note that there will obviously be ramp-up time to testing that will include, single-day testing and then eventually weekend testing.
Yeah, we'll phase all this stuff in
Right, so-
as we work out things, and we don't want to just have an avalanche of stuff and then everything breaks and then we don't know where to start.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's phased, it's careful, it's organized, and that's how we like to do things here.
Yeah, and we really appreciate everyone's help with testing Apocalypse, because that has helped us a ton with
You
the
have
back
no
end
idea.
of that and like patching and all of the progress we have going towards that. So that has been huge for us. So
Yes.
we cannot thank you enough for helping us with that, because that's going to help that process for Alpha 1.
It already has.
Yeah.
Like, it already has paid off dividends in terms of what we can do and the kinds of things that we want to, be really ambitious about accomplishing. Now we know how to accomplish a lot of those things. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So talking about the teaser plans, can you kind of walk us through what the walkthrough is going to be like to some extent for people so they can know what to expect next week?
Right. So the walkthrough is going to be relatively simple. It'll involve starting off in a starting area, going through some of the population there, taking a couple of quests, progressing on to a node, leveling that node up, kind of giving that feel. Taking a couple more quests there. Maybe we'll see a public event. Maybe we'll see some scary monsters that we haven't seen before. Maybe we'll go into a dungeon and do some party stuff, and maybe we'll get into a PvP fight. I don't know.
Over a caravan.
Maybe we'll win.
Maybe you'll lose and they'll jack all your
That's the part
caravan
that
loot.
it can always happen.
But it'll be fun.
But yeah, it'll be a nice kind of experience of like all the systems that we're currently working on and sort of what the evolution of those systems has been. So.
And it'll be a great opportunity for you as a community to kind of take a look back a couple of years ago where we were at that time and just how far it's progressed, and the from the art progressing to the systems and mechanics to the nodes and everything kind of progressing within the Alpha 1 experience.
Yeah. And I mean, our goal is always just to continue progress and make it even better and better.
Pushing that line forward.
It's not going to stop. We're not going to stop.
Not gonna stop.
Yay! I'm very excited.
Me too.
When we get to these types of phases in development, it's always way more.
It's
fun.
really cool to show off your stuff,
Yeah.
right? Like, you work in the dark for months and months and months, and then finally you get to go, here's what we're working on. What do you think?
Yeah, and we
hopefully we love
appreciate
it.
you all coming along with us on this journey. As we get closer to Alpha 1, Stephen has mentioned like we're going to be doing a lot of different types of content. He talked about it in the creative director's letter. So stay tuned for that kind of stuff. I know people have been asking about dev diaries and things of that sort. Design is kind of the next dev diary series, and we've been working on kind of what those content pieces are going to look like. But a lot of it requires some things that they're working on.
Right.
Being in a presentable state.
Yeah, to be in a presentable state. Because basically what we're going to be doing is showing the progress, which they already have footage of that. It's the end phase of seeing the final final, or at least some semblance of that.
We started
final
here,
product.
we went through these phases, and now here's the final product. And that's how we got there. I think that's a cool story to hear. I always love watching, postmortems and kind of
And I think design
watching the evolution of a product.
Designs, Dev Diaries are going to be so different from others because you have not only design touching a design, you have art, you have animation, you have environment, you have all these different pieces, engineering, like just a whole plethora of people who have to touch things in order to make a
design is always the first one in and then the last one's out. So it's kind
like
of, you get the whole thing there.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else you want to share? Anything else you want to pry out of Jeff? Or you think he missed?
What's going to be your most favorite experience next month that you get to show the community?
I think the public event stuff is the stuff I'm most excited about, but it's also the stuff I've been kind of working on, so I'm a little bit close to it. But yeah.
Yeah, because you kind of have your team split up and doing different things, and you actually have 2 designers
brand new designers helping us out. They've been great. They've been put them to work on day one, and then they're in the deep end. It's great.
The public event is the okay.
People are like, what does that mean? The public event is.
I was just making sure.
No, it was good.
Okay.
Wait, can we just all do it so we have a GIF of it? Okay, sorry. I know you guys are gonna clip that. All right.
All right, I'm off.
Jeff. We're gonna bring
We'll see you guys later.
Atkins on. So for those of you who haven't seen our streams before, Chris Atkins is our lead character artist.
Hey, how are you guys?
Awesome. He's been on here a few times, and he's had a couple of
Hey,
people
good
repping
to
his
see
team.
you.
How are you doing?
Doing well. Yeah,
Come on, a little closer.
Jincy will be on the next one.
You got it.
No.
Don't
try. No, I'm sorry. No, it'll have to be.
Ask.
I think Halloween we could get her on. She
she
will
could
come on in
dress up.
costume.
Yeah.
If we can hide her a little bit. She said she'd
Just
do it.
wear one of those ghost costumes with just the eyes.
Yeah.
Aw. I love Jincy. She's like such a sweetheart, and she's so talented.
Yeah, she's done a great
I love all
job.
of our people.
Yes.
But the community seems to love seeing her stuff because we do end up showing a lot of her work, which we have a whole bunch of amazing pieces of art from your team. But before we get into that, I don't know if you want to talk about generally how your team has been working towards Alpha 1 and the next milestone they're going to get to see.
Exactly. Yeah, we've just been marching like everybody else towards this March milestone.
Yeah.
And no pun intended. But yeah, it's been really good on our team. I think Keith and I have sort of been dealing with a lot of the player character stuff, and right now we're sort of working on polish, starting to kind of dial in some of the material stuff a lot more, which is nice. I mean, we need to update and get some of that stuff up to speed.
And I think we've shown like the male starting and the female starting in the previous live stream, so definitely check out the new kind of.
Yeah, all the new starter outfits are in. That's something that I got my hands on for a little bit, and now we've just been...
I saw him just looking at corsets.
That's it, I know. Yeah, my Google history is something that always interests Grat. He always walks by, he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, this is part of work. I have to do this.
I'm looking at boobs,
job.
it's fine.
It's fine, it's part of my job.
We just took the mature audience off.
I know.
I'm just joking.
You can say boobs.
Yeah.
This is a natural thing, Steven.
Okay, that's true. There's natural things.
But yeah. It's been great. Yeah, it was fun to make a couple new outfits, and then mostly been in armor, but then all the stuff that we're going to show has been Jincy and Carson mostly. I've just been doing a great job with all the creatures that Ryan Richmond ended up doing a bunch of great concepts. Some to my lament when he had tons of fur, but that's his call.
I love those.
He does a great job. I know.
I personally, as a character, like when I'm playing my character, I love her.
I know, and we're getting it's looking better each time. That's part of the stuff like we're working on now. Is still bringing those materials up and trying to get things to look a little better fidelity wise. But it's been great so far, and Jincy and Carson have really dug into these alpha textures.
And we have a world that we're going to talk about when Bacon comes in and talks about the world that they're working on, and you guys are kind of filling that world with all these amazing different creatures, and then design gets to put those creatures into the world, and it's been amazing seeing that. And then also there's been stuff that you guys are working on that we can't show, like I know the new races that people have been excited about, and we can't show those yet.
I have nothing because it's all the stuff I've been working on.
it's all the stuff that he can't share with you all, but those things are still those things are
dwarves next month.
There are dwarves.
Oh,
yeah.
nice teaser.
Yes.
We will be sharing some of that stuff. So stay tuned for that. We're very excited. There's going to be lots of video content and things for us.
The dwarves look awesome right now, wielding an
It's always
axe.
funny seeing them with the weapon.
It's awesome. I know. We have some decisions to make. Yeah. We have some decisions to make, but it's pretty cool right now.
My shorties represent.
They're
okay?
awesome. Yeah.
I know, because people always think like I'm really tall because I sit next to people and I look like it, but I'm short. I'm dwarf style.
Good posture, though.
Yeah,
Good posture.
yeah, just gotta sit up. So let's go into the variants. Now, we talked about this in previous episodes of our dev diary or dev updates, and we've kind of shown you guys the progress of all of the different creatures we've been making, and then we showed you the variants that come from those creatures in like concept art. Now we want to show some of the actual 3D models of these. So this is we have a whole bunch of bear variants. I don't know if you want to kind of talk about
Yeah,
this.
basically each creature, Bacon's been doing a great job with his team, and the world has really been coming together. And so this time we really made sure to have Ryan concept out creatures for each biome.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so these are basically 1-to-1 with the concepts. Everybody did a great job nailing them. So this is our first one for the
I love the stuff growing
Enchanted
on
Forest.
them.
Yeah, Carson did a great job with this. It wasn't an easy task to basically turn a bear into bark in grasslands.
I want to live in the Enchanted Forest.
Yeah, I think a lot of those
This is my
creatures
new life.
they're really.
I'm leaving, Steven.
So I think
I'm moving in.
I know. This is from I believe the Forest of Orinthia, and part of what we've discussed in the past, obviously, is the ability to alter the core creature into these variants. And here's an example of the Forest of Orinthia bear. This guy is a product of his environment. So when they're concepting out and modeling these creatures, they're going to reflect the world around them, the environment that they live in. So it might be difficult to tell him out from the trees and the moss and the bark, but when he roars, you'll know.
Yeah, and I think when Jim, we have great effects. Like our effects artist is amazing, and a lot of these are going to get all those kind of neat treatments. Yeah, and like little, like little firefly things buzzing around. You know what I mean?
Bugs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's all
crawling.
It's hard to see, but there's like a light blue, like a missive on some of the tips of some of those plants and things like that.
Yeah.
So these are going to be fun creatures walking.
It would be cool if these guys had a sort of idle state where they're hibernating in the ground and you can only see the top of them.
Yeah,
and they
just
kind
the top
You
of their
step
back.
on them and then now you're on top of a bear.
Right, exactly.
Let's get Dave back in here.
Yeah. But let's keep going through them. And now we've got this guy.
Yeah, so this is another one from Carson. I think this came up in our art review. We were kind of playing around with ideas, and Stephen brought up a lava bear.
Yeah.
Right, because we have I think there's a lava temple or dungeon, and part of the population for that particular dungeon was seeing some of these corrupted, animals that had been kind of influenced by the volcanic environment, and having this kind of as a lava rock / still lava inside, and maybe part of his attacks have the kind of burning dot on a player, as different variant.
Yeah,
or perhaps he has a somewhat breath attack or like a lava throw up attack.
Yeah.
That'd be a good one. I think, this was just a great example, too, of kind of us just talking and having ideas in some meetings. And it's like, oh, could we do this? Like, yeah, all right, let's get a variant out there. So,
and then Ryan makes these concepts and quickly pops them out. So
yeah, that whole
let's just keep
concept
going
team.
through all of them.
Yeah, they're great. So now this is,
I love the shaggy bear.
the shaggy bear, and this was Jinsey. I don't know if she'll ever forgive me for this one. But she did a great job layering on hair. It was just it was days of hair cards, and I could start to see that 1,000-yard stare in her eye on day
To be fair, that was Ryan's fault.
Yeah, it is. It is. I can't
But
say
then when he
anything, but
posted the concept, I was like, "Ooh, I love the hair." And then I think the first iteration of him, the hair was very,
it was a lot shorter. We're trying to feel like what we could technically.
I was like,
pull
"How
off.
far can you guys push it?"
Yeah, it's gotten a lot better, and I think we can keep pushing a little further now.
He needs
too.
a little beard.
Yeah,
beard.
There's a ton in that neck. I'm telling you. I know we kept getting pushback. It's like, could you make it longer? I'm like, it's pretty long. It's pretty long. But yeah, she did a great job on this, and we kind of worked out a new alpha material for this one too, which is
another thing
nice.
about this kind of woolly looking bear is that from a scale standpoint, this model gets scaled up a little bit more so than the other bears, so kind of has that woolly presence, the woolly bear.
Yeah. And then we've got our Chris Charger variants. So you guys have you've seen some of the concept art for this, but you haven't seen the 3D models of them. So we're just kind of showing them off.
Yeah, and this is another grasslands variant now. That's what that last bear was as well. So you can kind of see the color palettes between the two. We have two main biomes, which are enchanted and then grasslands, right? Mm-hmm. Is that known?
Well, now it is.
What? Two main biomes? Oh, you're talking
Like
about
that.
What these guys-
the level that
Yeah,
we
yeah.
go playing through
Yeah.
next month.
Yeah.
You'll be seeing our really has three. It's going to have the grasslands, it's going to have the enchanted forest, and then it's also going to have a temperate kind of Arctic
Yeah.
look on the mountain. But you guys have probably seen previously the original Cursed Charger that was a mount, had an Arctic kind of
Yeah.
snow leopardy look to it.
Brindle pattern,
Exactly,
very different.
right. But here we have something that is a little bit more blended into its environment in the grasslands and the plains area, so that again, they can prowl out in the open without you necessarily seeing them in tall grass.
Ooh, I like this.
Yeah,
I like this
pose
little
is
pose
great.
action shot.
Yeah, and Jitsu's been messing around with those too, so hopefully we'll have some more dynamic shots
Okay.
for you, on the
Yeah.
marketing side of
Yeah.
things instead of
Give
just
me more-
T-pose
give
all
me
the
more.
time.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah, so these are great. Yeah, she did a nice job with this one too, getting kind of matted fur to help it feel like it's, a little damp in the environment.
And T-pose is like this.
This is
For
T-pose.
people
Sorry,
wondering what that means.
Yeah, it's just these static.
That's why they're very static. Is because they're taking them in their model.
Yeah, and we have to
Yeah.
bind them to the skeleton this way in order to, have her. If we model the curve into the tail, you could never get it out.
Yeah, and we'll have video footage of obviously the Chris Charger video is already out there, so you can kind of see the environment. If you want to go get a sneak peek over there, we've been kind of showing little sneak peeks of these characters as the creation of them is completed, and then seeing them in the world that they're meant to be in. So it's been really exciting.
Yeah, those videos are great.
Oh, there's your little dude.
Here we
He's
are,
made.
your
Oh, is that
favorite.
the-
This
is that
is
the
your
Pox
favorite.
Claw?
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is the Pox Claw.
Yeah, this one was great. This is another great concept by Ryan.
So you guys
Yeah.
saw the concept last month, I think.
Yes.
And here's the model.
Yeah.
He's cool.
Yeah, I don't think I gave him too much pushback. I just kept yelling about hair at Ryan
This
the whole
one's-
time.
Zebra
I love
raptor.
this one so much.
Yeah, this
I don't know
one
why.
is
I think
great.
it's because the combination of the zebra print and then the fur. I just love it.
Yeah, and it's really hard to pull off a lot of those patterns when you're texturing, and so again, Carson did a great job with this
Yeah.
one.
Carson's been having a lot of fun. I mean, ever since he made his first creature, which was this
Yeah,
one, the Tidebreaker.
Yep, and we're
It's
back.
been, yeah, it's been cool seeing him go from being primarily a weapons artist.
Yeah,
to,
he was mostly
doing all
weapons and
kinds of
props.
stuff.
Props,
And
yeah.
He's made a
Killing
great.
it. He's still
great
making
turn.
weapons and
He
props.
still is, yeah.
I saw him making some cool belts and stuff like that too. He's been
Yeah, I
making
threw him
some
back
cool
on the
armor.
prop stuff for
Yeah.
a little bit. He's been having too much
We
fun up
need
there.
loot for people to get, right?
Yes.
This,
Yes, so
this
these are
one's
both
cool.
great. Yeah.
I like that. I can't wait for the particles for Jim to get his hands on this one.
Yeah, and I think Jinsu
that,
painted like a
green?
very subtle green. Yeah, that little bit you can see is emissive
Yeah,
too.
it's
So
when
in
it
the dark,
shine.
it'll
Yeah.
show up a lot
Yeah.
more. Yeah.
That's cool. And then our
Yeah, these
scale
are
runner, which you
Yep.
guys got to see Dave, who was working on the animation for this.
And I think there's a video coming out soon.
Yeah, there
with
might
this
be.
dude.
There
Yeah,
might,
maybe.
there
Maybe it
could
might be coming tomorrow or something. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, I really like this one too. I think we took down the saturation a little bit once we started running around in the world. But,
Yeah.
Oh, 'cause
I mean,
it was,
he
this
nailed.
was too bright.
Yeah, he nailed the
Yeah.
concept. Yeah, it stuck out just a little too much, and I think Tristan made that call, and I said, "Yeah, go for it."
Well, when we were working on a video for this guy, we were kind of looking at the different environments, and I think we're going to be showcasing one of the variants of him in a different
Okay.
area than the one that we shared on the live stream before. So you'll get to see some stuff.
Yeah, there's the concept. So I mean, he got it right on, So
Yeah.
I just told
And
him
then you
this. So I was like,
tuned-
we
you tuned it
we
down.
tuned it down a little
Yeah.
and just sent him a message. He's like, yeah, it's fine. Carson's easy going.
Talk about your process for that. Let's say you put it into the world, and then you're looking. Then Tristan obviously is placing it. You guys look at it, and then how does that work when you're trying to reiterate?
Yeah, I think, iteration time once we actually have it in engine is pretty quick. So we really just need to get it in the environment, look at the lighting, kind of look at some of our materials. We get feedback from Steven usually sort of on overall quality and fidelity, and then we go back and sort of adjust maps. A lot of it ends up coming down to roughness, which is kind of how shiny or wet things look. I think that's probably the biggest feedback you give us frequently. It's
Right.
just like, oh, this is
too
looking a
shiny.
little too bright. Let's tone that down. So yeah, it's pretty easy. And then it's just basically us going back and manipulating texture maps and mostly just texture work for that stuff. So it's pretty easy.
Cool. And then I think we have NPCs.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So one of the things that we've been working towards is kind of the population, and population is not only the creatures that you're fighting or that are living in the world. It's the the people who are living in the civilization.
Yeah.
So you guys have been working on a lot of those. We've got artisan classes too that are artisan characters. Steven really wanted to share that, but I don't think you guys are ready.
No, this is great to see. I mean, yeah, we've mostly been focusing so much on player character stuff and armor sets and getting things set up that, yeah, now it's nice to start really bringing the cities to life.
Yeah.
So this is where we're going. A lot of different merchants and everything coming your guys' way.
And like blacksmiths and artisans.
Yeah, tradesmen, blacksmiths. There should be some, backpack stuff coming. Some interesting, there'll be a lot of. This
Traveling
one's great too.
merchant,
This is kind of like our stable hand. I think, Jincy's been knocking out a bunch of these, and now Carson's back on it. Like you were saying earlier, he's back on gear.
Yeah, and then these are cheap poses as well, so that's why they might have like a weird stare to them.
I know. They all have dead face. We're going to get better about that too. Now that we have all these facial items, we'll start taking shots with a little more dynamic interest for you. All right.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm just going to keep saying it till
Yeah, no, please do. Could you stop sending us the dead face every time?
I'm always like, man, they've seen some shit.
They have to look neutral. They have to.
That's not neutral. That's like, I saw a ghost and it possessed someone.
Yeah. You're right.
But it's been really neat seeing all of that. I think when we look at some of the other footage from previously, and when we walk around the world, when you keep seeing the same NPCs over and over again, it just doesn't feel as lively.
For sure.
So
I mean, what's worse for us, I feel like, than players even. We see it all the time,
like,
and we show it every few
yeah.
months. We're like, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Any other follow-up questions that you have, Steven, for Chris?
No, I think what are you most excited for in the presentation we're going to do next month from a character standpoint?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Literally, variety is the biggest. I'm excited to see some variety and a lot of creatures too. I feel like this is probably one of our best creature updates. Again, with the team really focusing on that, and I just think I think everyone's going to see a lot more variety now, and I think that I'm excited to show that.
The world's coming to life.
Yes, very much so.
It's been cool seeing, and even the interaction between like the different types of creatures. You have a scale runner eating like a deer and that kind of thing.
Yeah, all the AI stuff. Yeah, design is they're hitting it hard.
Like those little things bring life to the world too.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think it's not only just like a player
one of the things I couldn't stand in other MMOs is that you go out into these hunting grounds and whatnot, and there's no life to the creatures, so to speak. Right? There's no accent there. There's no flavor.
Yeah, you'd have a deer wandering next to a wolf, yet somehow it's uninterested in this prey item. Yeah, I think
one of the cool things is obviously creating kind of an AI that allows some interaction there. That player can stumble across a more alive world.
Yeah. I agree, and I think from my perspective as a player, that's what I want. I want to experience that, and then I kill both of them.
Yeah, exactly. Great. Twice the loot.
KS the
lizard and take the deer.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm just kidding. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you guys very much. Good to see you guys.
We're going to be moving on to environment.
Everyone's favorite.
Maybe time this time.
Party starts now.
The party starts now. Did you bring your candies?
Yeah, of course.
Nice.
Hey, we got candy.
So if you've watched our previous streams, you might have seen this is Michael Bacon. He's our lead environment artist. And
Thanks for saying it. No, I don't have to.
Come on in.
Oh, sorry.
Welcome, Bacon.
Yeah. So Bacon, tell us generally about what your team has been working on, and then we'll go into the details that we have here.
Thank you.
Environment stuff.
Okay, that's done. That's out of the way. Let's move on. Anything else that you want to mention?
No, I mean we're cranking away. We're cranking away.
They are cranking away, and they got.
He's excited.
You guys have gotten a few new environment artists.
Yes, including my sister's working here now.
Yay!
Yes, I'm very excited about that. The amazingly talented.
Is she actually your sister?
No, but we share the same birthday.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, we're like the same age. It's crazy. We're like twins.
They sit next to each other too.
Yeah. Aww. Anyway, but yeah, she's insanely talented. Mia Del Casino.
Mia's here. We have Adam.
Are we gonna get to meet these peeps, or are they afraid of being on camera?
I don't think they're afraid of being on camera.
I love Mia's energy.
Yeah.
She is very
She's
energetic.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know her well, but I think I've seen her work that she's worked on.
No, she's fantastic artist. Yeah, absolutely, a great, awesome person.
Oh, we get to see some of her trees. She's been making trees.
Yes,
she has.
We do.
Some amazing trees.
Tristan put together a whole thing. So
cool
let's get into it. So
Yay.
the first things first is you want to walk us through the Nakua.
Oh yeah, we're hitting the Nakua now, which is awesome. We're moving the needle forward on these guys, so very excited about that. Yeah, so this is the concept stuff for some of the encampment structures that were, and actually Adam Will has already been working on them, and they look pretty much exactly like the
Yeah,
concept.
I saw it. He was working on like the stone part of one of it, and with like, the engravements with the runes, and I was like, that looks so cool.
Yeah.
And I love like the little bits of teal in places that are like that turquoise stone,
Yeah,
which I think
definitely.
is so cool.
Yeah.
So you guys in the audience might understand what I'm talking about here, but these are concept pieces.
Yeah.
And Ryan Richmond did these. And when I first saw his kind of new approach stylistically with these concept pieces, it totally reminded me of the tabletop terrain pieces that you would get of like buildings and stuff for like a Warhammer Fantasy.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I totally would see that on a box for tabletop terrain.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, I love these.
Well, what was crazy about it is because you got Ryan gives a concept on these, and then Adam Will's been working on them, and
So good.
they just look just like
They look. They literally
include,
look like that. Yeah.
I didn't include his work in here because it would look like it just was.
The same thing.
It would be like right next to it. Yeah.
We have a new concept artist too, by the way, Ricky
Yes,
Ho.
Ricky Ho.
Yeah, welcome, Ricky Ho.
I see them
Ricky.
working together really closely, and kind of Ryan also has
Oh, and-
kind of moved into a different position where he's kind of leading that team too.
Yes,
right?
our concept team now has a new lead, which is Ryan Richmond.
Yay.
Yes.
These look great though.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, they came out really cool. So we're kind of building these guys up now, and you'll start seeing them in the game here really soon, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So right now we're working on the camp, and
I saw a video of these. Is that on today?
No,
No, that was in.
No,
That's
that was just-
future.
Yeah, we're still
Got
it's
it.
on the down low. Not doing that yet.
know,
These are the comp
I gotta
images of
slowly
kind
get
of
it out
showing
of
you
him.
kind of all the assets kind of together for the camp and encampment.
Yeah, so you kind of see them all together and what it's going to look like with all these different like pieces.
Art.
It looks so good.
As I, see
love
these
these trees.
As I see these comp pieces, like part of me now wants to be an Akua.
Oh, are we pulling you towards being an Akua?
I'm it looks like a really relaxed civilization to live in.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty
Living the dream.
Yeah,
eating some
exactly.
Fish. Oh, can you smell the fish? I love
But I'd be
the smell of
concerned with
smoked
what's
fish.
in the water. You know what I mean?
Then you kill it.
Well,
And then you eat it.
yeah. But do you kill it, or does
Yeah.
it eat you?
And then you use parts of it to make
got
your
it.
house.
Got it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Or to don your gear.
Was there a second piece to that? I thought you added a second piece on there.
Nope.
Oh, okay. I guess I didn't make it in today.
Yeah. Then we have Bailey.
Sorry, Ryan.
Oh.
Yeah, so there's an updated Valoon.
You guys, they saw early Valen work
all the way up to the city,
a
but
few
not.
years ago.
Oh yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
But here's some
like the
updated comp
marketplace stuff,
pieces,
Yeah.
kind of showing the direction now for the is this Metropolis level?
Yeah, well, the city level. not
city
quite
level?
The
Okay,
city
got it.
level. We've shown the village and the encampment area already on previous live streams.
Yeah.
And
we
I know
got
people have been
some town
asking
as
for
well.
these pieces as like wallpapers and stuff. Stay tuned. We will have
These
some
kind of
stuff for
pieces
you.
are really cool because
Yeah.
it's really showing kind of what it looks like in their environment.
Yeah.
All the color,
Yeah.
just the full. Before going into production.
What I like in that piece, it kind of shows the elevation that's possible, within the city, around the central area, because a lot of, early on in kind of approaching how we wanted to do the node development, it was an integral piece for us to not only maintain consistency in the central aspect of the node, so that kind of town hall, city center siege objective, stays consistent, but also that it can have some growth from an elevation standpoint, which typically cities kind of see.
Yeah.
So it's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, when you look at these pieces, it's really giving the feeling and the vibe that you're going to get when you walk into one of these environments that are based on that type of race. So I think it's cool seeing like that, and then what you guys actually create, because you're really using it as like.
And
that
I like how
feeling.
differentiated the races are really starting to look.
Yeah.
Right,
like
the
really
variety, yeah.
and
Absolutely.
Concept stuff.
Bacon's been like.
And plus, it's really cool because as the city center builds upwards and everything sort of gets pushed outwards, and so we still use those assets. They just get further and further up from the center.
Because
So-
like the big skyscraper type of things end up in here, whereas like the residential stuff starts getting pushed out,
Yeah, it gets
right?
pushed out. But some of that residential stuff was the
Was the main town before?
main town
it's-
before.
Yeah, the city as it progresses has a historical canvas that you can see from the outskirts to the inner, each stage of development, those assets still exist.
Yeah, we're all the plebeians who are going to live outside of the walls.
There you go. I can't tell you. In most of my D&D campaigns, the greatest stories happen on the outskirts of the city and not on the interior.
That's where it's the shadiest.
I know, it's shadiness.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. All right, and then we're going to get into some of the grassland or the foliage that you guys have been working on.
Yes, this is kind of a bridge between, I think, the it's the bridge getting into the grasslands. This isn't really the grasslands completely, but
So now these are in-game shots.
yeah, these are all.
This is all Alpha 1 in-game.
What really I'm showing specifically here is like we're starting to get into using geometry for accessing terrain pieces instead of just using the terrain to, so you're seeing a lot more detail.
But you know what I wish we would have done here is had a side-by-side with shots taken from Alpha 0 to Alpha 1, and just so, and you guys can go back and look, because we did release some footage of that, and some screenshots, but you can see really just the degree of upgrade and difference that has occurred between Alpha 0 and now where we are from an environmental and art standpoint.
Yes.
Yeah,
And we're also playing around with some new sky tech, which
I know.
Which is really
Has that been implemented yet?
Yes.
Oh, very cool.
So yeah.
So that'll be in place for next month.
Yeah.
Wait till you guys see the sky tech there. That's going to be cool.
Performant way of getting volumetric clouds, which is awesome.
We had attempted to get some volumetric clouds with APOC, and we ran into some serious difficulties from a technical standpoint in achieving the type of volumetric cloud presentation we wanted.
Oh, it started lagging.
So much so where I had some pushback from the development team on like, Steven, can we just drop the clouds? And I'm like, no, we need the clouds. So we kind of did some.
It was really bad though.
Yeah, we kind of did some like backwards way of getting the clouds. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And,
Also, the birds when they were flying across the thing looked so weird.
Oh, I love the birds.
No,
the birds
because
were great. They always
because the clouds
psyched me
were lagging out.
No, when I was on ground in APOC and I would see a bird, I was like, is that a person or a bird? Oh, you just got birded.
Yeah, it wasn't such a problem until we added the mounts. Flying mounts. And then all of a sudden we were like, oh, is that what is that?
But this new tech will solve that issue. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yay!
Yay! I think, are we close to the end of those? Yeah, and so the next thing that we have is a video, and this is the new trees that we have.
Yes, this is Mia.
And you actually get to see the grasslands in a video format.
A little bit.
Tristan had a little fun with this.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody gets their own trailer.
I know, for the trees and stuff.
Yeah.
And this is Mia made this tree,
Yes,
right? And this is what is a gum drop?
Snow gum tree.
Snow gum.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Oh,
she did those and some new eucalyptus trees.
These are trees that I could see like building a little tree house in or climbing. Like they'd be good.
I just thought they're so
trees.
twisty and so girthy and
You know, and one of my my objectives when kind of
they're hero trees.
Yes, they're hero trees, exactly right. Like a million pixels. One of my objectives, from an art direction standpoint, is kind of having that softer palette and a little bit more on the realistic side. And really, these trees fit so perfectly within the environment. It's just great to see.
When you look at the leaves, it's much better than some of our previous trees that we've had.
Oh my
I think if you look at sometimes I'm like, what is this tree situation that's happening? And Tristan's like, yeah, I can't change that. That's the tree. I was like,
or the ultra saturated greens that were in some of those bushes, and I was like, what is that?
Yeah, we've been slowly but surely killing them off, but no, this stuff looks amazing. She's awesome. I mean, she's been doing this stuff for years.
Oh yeah. She's been in the industry for what, 20 years?
Yeah. That's why I was adamant about bringing her on board. Steven,
I know.
No, we gotta get her.
All I have to hear is from Bacon to say, we need to get this person. I'm like, all right.
And then the last thing that we're going to show is, so we've shown you guys last month, we talked about, buildings and how they're created, and we kind of showed like one of the smaller buildings and like the progress of that. Now we're going to show you kind of like a 2-story building and what that looks like
kind of
building up. Or is it 3 stories?
Yeah. So anyway, we actually, Devin helped me with putting together the tech on this.
And this is a little shop too, so you can actually see.
Yeah, so the stuff just fully. Hey, wow.
And this kind of gives
building.
Players that transition as they're building up these structures within the node or on their freehold. And we showed a little bit of this last month. But the cool thing is that this is going to be present in our node formation next month as we kind of showcase Alpha 1 stuff. So
Yeah, for sure.
I'm so excied.
And then the tech that Devin put together on this is very smart, so it's really reusable. Whereas like what I was doing with it was just powering through it, which was just not, it was not optimal.
Yeah.
It would have worked, but it wasn't optimal.
It did its job.
It did its job.
And that's the
It
thing.
sold the concept. That's what it did.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing about development is that we go through these different prototype phases, and then we actually get into the development aspect of it on the other side of it. Once we can be like, okay, this is the concept that we're trying to go for, and sometimes those things come in gray boxes. So it's very much like these gray buildings that we're showing just to show you guys kind of how things work. And I think we showed that in our building design tool and in our node tool videos. If you check out those dev diaries, we kind of show you that progress of the creation of things. And now you're getting to see you're going to get to see the next phase of it, which is really exciting for us. We are just super pumped for next month, so we cannot wait. And obviously, thank you so much, Bacon.
Thank you.
I don't know if you have anything else you want to mention.
I have nothing new.
Stephen has been asking kind of the similar questions, so I'm
your
curious.
favorite thing
Yeah.
to showcase from environment for next month.
Yeah, what's the one thing that you want people to look at?
Well, I am really happy about the inclusion of the Dwarven.
Oh, the Dwarven stuff,
The Dwarven stuff.
I saw that. I saw the new dungeon with that stuff. Looks pretty good.
Yeah. So a lot of cool stuff on there. Both with the Denier and the Nakua representing. So we're doubling down.
That's right. Both are represented. Very cool.
Yeah.
So I feel good that we're moving the needle forward on the other races, and we're
it's been cool to see models and things of that sort being finalized and approved by Stephen.
Yeah. I like what I see. It's looking good.
Awesome.
Nitpicky, nice.
It's good nitpicky though. It's good.
All right, I'm out.
Okay, thank you.
Bye, Bacon.
So thank you so much, everybody. We're going to be bringing on Jeff and Sarah. Toast is going to be taking over for me, and we will be doing your questions. So thank you so much for submitting those, and I cannot wait till next month. So I really appreciate everyone who comes and watches these, and definitely tune in next month and watch out for our content because we have a lot planned.
Bye, Margaret.
Bye. Greetings.
Greetings and salutations.
Hello, greetings and welcome. Well, I say greetings
Somebody
and welcome.
delivered
Everyone
me
here has already been
a tea.
Ooh,
Oh.
Don't wave it at me. You
That's
said
not your name.
earlier
What?
on the stream, you're like, hey, coronavirus.
I know. I think it's just black.
I've already
It's
been
black lung, I'll
coughing
be
all
fine.
over the tea. I don't want to be anywhere
Tea
near it.
and Jolly Ranchers, so yummy.
What if you dropped the
Breakfast
Jolly,
of champions.
Jolly Rancher in the tea and let
I
it
know,
melt?
right?
And
No.
then you could have a lovely blue raspberry tea.
Oh.
Be delicious. Anyways, so my name is Sarah Flanagan. In case we haven't met before, you might know me as Lieutenant Toast, and I am your community manager for all things Ashes of Creation and Apocalypse. And I have the pleasure of asking what you guys want to hear us chat about every month as part of our live Q&A sessions. At the end of our live streams, and we put up a forum thread a week before the live stream to gather all those questions. We ask you to share one question, please, not more than one, not a really, really long paragraph one that I have to sit here and read a really long paragraph, as much as I love those. But they are very hard to read. And for any questions that we have answered before, I do take the time to go back to that forum thread before we do a live stream and let you know, hey, we've talked about some of the Alpha 1 stuff here before. We've talked about artisan classes here or marriage here, so you can take a look at all of those things. So thank you to everyone who submitted questions. So without
Thank
further
you,
ado,
everybody.
Yeah.
we'll kick those off. So the first question comes from Shintaro on the forums, who asks, can you please share a bit on what benefits guilds get from being patrons of a node?
Yes. So guilds, as they have the opportunity to kind of claim patronship for a node, have certain services that are unlocked within the node for other guild members. So those might include things like having specific emblems be applied to guild armor that can now be purchased from that particular node. They also have the added benefit of being able to participate within that node's stock market. They also have the opportunity to undertake certain guild-based missions that will progress the guild's leveling and development. They also have the opportunity to get specific node abilities that they can unlock for guild members by allocating guild points towards those developments. There's a lot of things that they can do.
Yeah, I mean it's really well integrated. Yes.
Okay, but I think those are great examples because I think they were like, what specifically?
Additionally, there's also nodes also contain the ability for guilds to inhabit guild halls. And in order to partake within a in-node guild hall, you, I believe, must be a patron guild of the node. You can always have a guild hall on a guild freehold. However, in order to get the in-node guild hall, which has different perks and benefits, you must be a patron
of the node. All right. Jalon asks, has there been any discussion of reducing the guild cap below 300 if the castle sieges end up being capped at 250 versus 250? So making the castle siege size match the size of a max guild?
No, not necessarily, and the reason for that is, obviously, my history of being a guild leader is even if your cap on the roster is 300, it doesn't mean you always will have 300 online at a given time. So there's a little bit of buffer
and that
there.
ties into another question, which is if I have 2 or more characters in the same guild, will they use multiple spaces of the guild, or do they stack and only use one space?
No, they use multiple spaces.
So that would be
it's a per character position. Yeah, the other. I mean, you want to have a little bit of a buffer there. Obviously, as we move into the betas and we kind of play with these numbers from a balancing standpoint,
change.
There's an opportunity there for the numbers to change. We want to make sure that the betas kind of serve as a balance opportunity from a data standpoint that we can collect in players kind of interacting. So there's definitely an opportunity for those numbers to change.
So any numbers we've given you before, like those are always with a grain of salt, and those are our best estimates in terms of what we've done in our own Excel spreadsheets and how we think these things are going to map out.
Yes.
But live gameplay always is different than what a spreadsheet will tell you. And so expect those things to change.
And remember, while we are here to give you guys information and answer questions and participate in a transparent development, we're going to give you information that we feel most comfortable with as somewhat in stone. But as with all developments, things are capable of being changed. So, like Jeff said,
No plans survive alpha.
Yeah, exactly.
Ishka from the forums asks, in the weapon use combo system, will using a skill reset my combo? So can I do like swing, do a skill, and then execute my third, or?
Generally, yes. So we've been playing with the idea of some abilities that can ride on top of combos, in which case those wouldn't. But right now, yes, using an ability will generally reset your combo.
Okay. All right.
And I think as a quick aside to that, part of kind of theory crafting out the combo system originally, there was an opportunity to include, in my mind at least, procs that can occur off the combo attacks that have a chance to proc and might either reduce or reset cooldowns of other skills on your hotbar. I think that's a kind of cool mechanic, and it incentivizes the player to make sure at certain opportunities to participate in that combo system. And not just a kind of system that's set aside for casters.
We want these things to be integrated
exactly,
again,
yes.
and make
and
sure
relevant for all classes.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Corpier from the forums asks, can you share an example of how a dev discussion sparked conversation or changed internal opinion on class themes or mechanics? So I can think of one off the top of my head, which was a discussion that we had about deserts afterwards.
Yes, deserts.
Because one of the ones that came up a lot in the dev discussion about biomes was how many people hated desert biomes for being flat and boring and plain and sandy. And then when I posted in our internal channels, like, everyone hates deserts, everyone internally was like, no, deserts are beautiful. And I got all these rainbowy pictures.
I think something that, kind of, at least from the stories I've heard of other studios and experiences, is something that we do well here is every discussion, people have a voice in, and they do have the opportunity, and oftentimes change kind of opinions and direction that we want to have, because you're bringing a lot of different voices with a lot of different experiences together, and we want to make sure that we're kind of taking that influence from our developers and what they've experienced in the past. So I don't know many conversations that are had that do not result in some type of
change or modification,
or something. Yeah,
just something to keep in mind.
New insight or look at something.
Because I honestly, like, I am of the camp that I hate desert levels. Whenever I hit one, it always feels like everything slows down and everything kind of comes to a stop. And part of that, I think, is just the design of those deserts, right? That was something that conversation convinced me of. It was like, oh, look at this. Deserts can be interesting. Yeah. They're not always like this. And if you design them well, then they're not going to feel that way. So.
Yeah, I don't think players, I mean, like, for me personally, at least with regards to deserts, I went a little tangent there, but, like, nobody thinks of, I want to go into the Mojave. But you do think, like, I want to go into the savannah, and kind of the Great Plains that has a mixture of maybe some desert and stuff like that. Or has some cool, like, jagged rocks coming out of the side.
Right, and we are a fantasy game, and so we can take those fantasy elements and really kind of lean into them.
Right.
So.
Maybe there's floating sky rocks in our desert. You never know. There's all sorts
Maybe
of
there are waterfalls made of sand.
Yeah,
exactly. There you go. All sorts of interesting ways to make deserts.
60-foot-tall iguana. No, just
absolutely, and toxic green that's like the one we saw earlier, the runner, just 60 feet tall. All right, Hiram asks, will there be memorable plot characters that follow us through the main storyline? So,
the goal is yes. Yeah. It's important to have characters that you can reference that help you to feel things about the game. If it's just you trying to interpret it the whole time, stuff gets lost. But if you have a character that you know and you get to know and you care about, then the things that happen to that character matter. So.
Absolutely. I mean, from a storytelling standpoint, characters offer obviously a cornerstone, something that can anchor you within the perspective of the story. So those are very important literary tools when kind of getting the player invested in what they're experiencing.
All right. Zenantaya asks, how many raids and dungeons are planned at launch?
I don't want to give a hard number on that.
Many?
Yeah.
Many.
A good amount. As many as we can get done.
Yes.
All right. Then Tharian asks, how might town guards react to a corrupted player if they react at all?
They will kill on sight.
Yes, they're KOS. Okay. All right. Liaric asks, will some archetypes use resources other than mana, such as energy for an archer or rage for a fighter? Like a resource pool that maybe has a different name, if not a different
functionality, right? Like those are interesting things to do. We have talked about it. Right now, the answer is no.
Yeah.
But that may change as we continue to evolve these classes.
And that was a departure that occurred from feedback from the community, really, when we first had our implementation of the combo system. It did generate an alt resource called Focus. And that focus was tied to specific abilities as an alternative resource pool, but we kind of moved away from that when we iterated on the combo mechanic, instead more towards a proc feature / skill slot kind of thing.
It's something you might see later on down the road, but for right now, the answer is no.
Yeah.
Okay. Leonardo, I'm sorry, I almost said Leonardo, but it's Leonardo, which is a great name. Asks, if vassal nodes are able to have their own vassals as long as they fit within the parent node's ZOI, which stands for Zone of Interest, or Zone of Influence. Zone of Influence, thank you. Apologies. Can a node lose some of its vassals when it becomes the vassal of a more advanced node if the parent zone of influence does not extend as far as the vassals? Or is there no case where that would happen?
The zone of influence, so the zone of influence is directly tied to the ability of the advancing node to enslave or vassalize other nodes. So the algorithm would never say, this is an acceptable node to become a vassal, but in order to do so, I must cut out these. It will only be acceptable if it can fit the entire.
Right.
Yeah, okay. All right, Argentum 401 asks, how might your choice of class affect non-combat content? For example, benefits for matching your class and profession, like enchanting, or the way that NPCs might react to you.
Repeat that one more time.
Okay, so how might your choice of class affect non-combat stuff? So, necromancers sometimes are KOS in a lot of places, in other games, because no one wants to talk to you because you raise undead people.
I see.
Or, you're an enchanter and partnering it with processing or something like that.
Outside of narrative and specific quests that are granted to specific classes, I don't see mechanically there being a lot of restricted content behind classes.
Right.
I can't think of any off the
I
top of my
can't
head.
think of any off the top of my head either. It does affect, right? Utility skills
Yes.
will be one part of that, but even then,
Those are just skills.
those are skills, and those are, even if you can't do a thing one way because you don't have a utility skill, there'll always be other ways of doing the same thing.
Yeah, it just makes it a little bit maybe more difficult.
More difficult,
but
may
it
take
doesn't
more time,
restrict
but-
the content.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Lord Ashbourne asks, are there any plans to add in non-weapon combat, such as fist-to-fist, fisticuffs?
Like a
We've
monk.
talked about
Or a martial
monk.
art. Or a
Monk.
yeah,
We've talked about monk a
fisticuff
lot.
monk.
It's something we want to do, but we already have a lot of weapons and a lot of
On our
animations
plate.
that we have to do for that.
So maybe in the future.
Maybe in the future.
After launch.
All
maybe.
right. Cheshire asks, will there be underworld, not underrealm, but underworld content for people that want to play the role of, say, a mercenary or a villain beyond just the Thieves Guild, such as a black market or a brawling club or a pirate island?
There will absolutely be narratives and quest lines that adhere to a more gritty type of
Yep.
Yes.
person.
Whatever life you may choose to lead. I think we actually already covered this one earlier, which was Will of G's Nuts asks, what should we expect to see at GDC, and will it be public for everyone? So we let
The
you
answer
guys
is
know.
yes.
You guys will be seeing more of that next month.
Yes.
Illisvet asks, how much progress will be account-based versus character-based?
Most progress will be character based.
Yes.
Okay, versus like achievements that are account-wide or anything like that.
No,
I mean-
you're not going to share. I mean, outside of like certain cosmetics that you can allocate then to a character from your account and shared virtual currency, there's really not achievements that are in game that are going to share across characters.
I don't think so.
If I earn a cosmetic for being level 50 on one character, is that
No.
the kind of cosmetic? Okay.
No. So when the only way that you assign cosmetics for non-in-game achievements is if you were to purchase cosmetics from, let's say, the marketplace. That would go to your account first, and then you can assign it to a character.
To a specific character. Okay. T Elf asks, will the polymorph ability be in Castle Siege?
Right now, it's not.
Every Hole asks, what did you learn from the last dev discussion? I didn't read the whole name.
I did.
I know you did. It's written on the paper. What did you learn from the last dev discussion regarding favorite and ideal classes? I don't know if you guys want to cover that one.
Favorite and ideal.
I would have to go back.
Okay. Let me think back on this one for some of my key highlights that we shared for this one. We talked about healing classes. There were a lot of you guys who shared interesting opinions on healing classes and how you wanted to see varieties of how to heal stuff in terms of the difference between an AoE heal versus a direct damage healer and stuff like that. What other stuff? There was also a lot of love for support classes that aren't direct heals, like your bars and your enchanters and stuff like that. So finding interesting ways to weave in stuff that is not necessarily combat as well.
I will admit that my this last month was very busy for me, so I didn't get a chance to read that particular dev discussion.
I'll send it to you again then.
Thank you.
All right.
However, the previous dev discussion with regards to scalable content,
Yes.
I did read that one, and the way that kind of came about was we were having an internal discussion about that with different positions on it. My position was I'm not a huge fan of scaling content, and wanted to get the community's opinion on it, and it was pretty sharply divided. There were people who
That's a lot of these dev discussions
Yeah.
where there's definitely camps
Absolutely.
and trying to thread the needle and make sure that we don't dilute the vision
Right.
of what we're doing, right? But also trying to acknowledge those different types of people.
Right.
It's always a challenge, and MMOs is probably the biggest challenge for that. But it is. It's nice to always hear like.
It's nice to hear confirmations.
Yes.
stuff
and
that
experiences that people have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, send me that discussion again.
Yes. Varo asks, are there plans for speech bubbles or written text above or near a character? So if I yell in chat, will I have a hey?
No,
ahead.
not right now. There's problems with that, especially when you get a lot of people in one area. It can make it look really messy, and then there ends up being just a ton of noise. Like imagine if you saw trade chat, except above everybody's heads. all in one area, it would be real hard to figure out what's going on.
We may include that in the future. You can call, obviously.
There are some things that we want to do, especially narratively,
right.
to like bring focus to NPCs and things of that nature. But it's something we're still trying to figure out.
Okay. Liamese asks, will the in-depth economic performance metrics, and I think these are ones that are part of the Kickstarter unlock, allow us to see auction house price history, perhaps using moving averages and drawing trend lines?
So there is going to be a progression path that unlocks certain features with regards to the stock market within auction house within economic nodes. And not just anybody will have the ability to see that without progressing down that path. But yes, there will be the ability to kind of observe the market metrics.
Okay. Ragand asks, because the environment always reacts to actions taken, there's a chance some things may be permanently missing or can't be obtained. How will that be balanced for those who start the game later after launch, like 6 to 12 months down the line?
I mean, the goal is to have tons and tons and tons of content, right? It's not going to necessarily be balanced, right? That person who misses out does miss out, but there will also be other opportunities for that person to take care of that other people didn't get to do. So those things will be constantly changing. This is not the kind of game where you will be able to complete it 100%, right. And we're okay with that.
Additionally, our game is a linear, historical type of server environment. So as Jeff was saying, if you weren't there 3 months prior, you're going to miss out on some of that content, but then have something new. So the idea is to tell a story about the life and decisions of the players in that server. And in order to tell that story, there has to be a linear timeline for that server's progression.
For sure. All right, Varkun asks, which class has been your favorite to play during the internal testing so far, and why?
So
We always have a favorite class question.
up till now, it's been the cleric for me. I've been really happy with a lot of the stuff we're doing with the cleric and making that an interesting class to play, and not as one-dimensional as clerics or peelers tend to be. So I've been happy with where that goes, but I've got to say I'm really excited to see where the ranger ends up. We kind of pretty massively refactored it and are doing some different things with what they're doing. None of them are online, especially right now. We're still waiting on animations and particle effects and a lot of stuff that kind of makes it feel complete. But the overall idea of it, we're turning it into a skirmish kind of class. So range is really important to how the ranger works, and that is
in
both
terms
close
of determining
combat,
which skills you use.
going in, going out,
Okay.
and being kind of a harasser. And there's some fun stuff that's coming out of that, and I'm excited about that.
Will there be, I guess, dependent on maybe what secondary you take, more of classes where you'll be maybe more dancy, where you'll jump in and out, versus maybe you want to stay back and you're more of the
Yeah, you'll still be able to do that sort of classic ranger archer thing, but we felt that kind of felt one-dimensional and kind of overlapped with the mage a little bit, and so we wanted to make sure that the ranger had a playstyle of its own that kind of feels like a ranger. It's so far a lot of fun, so I'm excited about that.
Bjor asks, which Kickstarter goal is going to be the most challenging to develop successfully and why?
I have to go back.
I know, I was going to say you have to look at all of them maybe.
Which is going to be the most challenging?
I know which one I think, but I'm not sure if it was actually a goal or not.
One of the stretch goals?
Do we have a recount on the stretch goals?
I think Jeff's looking at them right now. Well, I'll skip to the next one in the meantime. Evac asks, will there be weak spots for NPCs? Like, this boss's tail, if you hit the tail, it takes more
We definitely want
damage.
to have directional importance. And then there will also be susceptibilities that monsters have against certain types of attacks and energies. So in that sense, there are vulnerabilities.
All right. Did you find one, or
Oh,
shall
what
I go
are
to
they?
the next one?
So we've got parlor games, cute small pets, group
So
mounts, backer only weapon skin, enhanced naval content. That's probably mine. Backer only armor skin, the Underrealm, backer only aquatic mount, social organizations. That's pretty big. Backer only die set, new Underrealm race. That's a big one. Backer only bombarding, backer only skill effects, and stock exchange.
So what was the
That's a
question?
big one. Which one was going to be the most challenging to develop successfully?
I would probably say that the most challenging would be the expanded naval content.
Yeah. Yep. Because that's a huge system all in and of itself,
exactly.
right? Just the complexity.
It's a
compared
separate
to-
game, really.
Right.
Yeah.
And compared to all the other ones, like that's definitely.
Now we have made great progress in that regard, especially when it comes to physics on the server, or not on the server,
On the waves.
buoyancy,
Yeah.
exactly, all that kind of stuff. So, I don't have any concern, but from
It's
a
definitely
challenge
the most
standpoint,
challenging.
it's a high challenge rating.
All right. Gimlog asks, will there be a difference in the difficulty of the Metropolis near a starting zone and one far into the map? So will every level 6 node have the same difficulty, mob difficulty, or will it also vary?
It will vary, and that's because our approach to the world infrastructure with regards to monster and difficulty rating does also have a component that follows the standard, inward difficulty from starting areas. However, what that is the base ratio table of content level, and then as nodes advance, they also advance in steps those spawner tables as well. So a starting area node will have a more starting area friendly composition of monsters on its spawn table, and those will step up increasingly. But if you were to start a city out in the center of the world, it will start with an already advanced spawn table, and will even further advance that.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna grab 3 more questions from here so we can let you guys let us get back to lunch and work and all that sort of stuff.
Lunch.
All right, so Dorn Live asks, since the mounts will have core abilities and stats, how will the mounts gain experience or levels, if they will?
It's going to be a few ways. They will share experience based off of the progression experience gained from the character itself.
Okay.
And then they will also have an ulterior experience table that will result in a mount-specific type quest line system. So basically a training path that exists for the mount. So players will be able to achieve that. It might include getting certain items for the mount, like special types of foods. It might include achieving certain tasks in the world. That quest line will be present for the mount to progress as well.
All right. Will all freeholds be the same size to start, or will land come in different sizes that we can rent or purchase?
All freeholds will be the same size.
All right. And then last question here. This one's from Hammerzider. This one's a nice one to wrap us up. What will be the main focus of Endgame in your mind? PvE, PvP, wealth, fashion, or community?
Fashion.
Fashion. Fast fashion.
All the above.
Yeah,
I mean,
I was
it
gonna say.
depends on who you are as a person, right? And
For
as a
sure.
player. We're going to have lots of different things for lots of different people to focus on. And like we say, we don't like talking about the end game because this game changes on a daily basis. So there will be different things happening in the world live that you'll need to take care of or not take care of based on kind of who you are.
Yeah.
So fashion
I know,
will be ever present.
I know that so many
Fashion will be
projects
ever present.
So many projects have kind of used this cliche term of player-driven content. And oftentimes, I think, in my experience as a player, it's used as an excuse not to create, actual content.
Yeah.
But our idea is a two-pronged approach where, that player-driven mechanic has to be fulfilled with a plethora of content to accommodate it. So the idea is that not any one specific category is going to be where we pour our focus in from a content standpoint, but across the board, players will have the option to kind of dictate their own interests and advancements as they approach that end game. But it's all interwoven within the community so that your fellow player has a hand in influencing how that game looks like to you, and that requires you to be social. I mean, MMORPGs are a social experience.
Yep.
They're
at their best when they're social.
Exactly, and that's kind of our design principle, is to make MMOs massive again.
Yep.
In order to do that, you must intermingle all of those systems and mechanics together. That kind of drives players into that community. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, you guys.
for
Great
joining.
questions.
Yes.
Thank you.
Those were amazing questions.
Some of them
so
a little
thank
bit
you
hard,
for
but
submitting them.
Yeah,
we did our best.
We got to most of them this time. I think there were only 5 that we didn't get to. And then, like I mentioned, if you didn't hear your question answered on the stream today, there's a chance I already answered it on the forums last night. So go ahead and take a look there. I tagged you with some answers, so you can take a look at those as well. Just some quick reminders here before we wrap up for the month. We do have another dev discussion coming up for March. This one's going to be about group-oriented activities, so we'll be asking for your thoughts about those. I'm going to send all of your thoughts about classes to Steven again, it sounds like. And then we are going to be swapping over the monthly cosmetics on Wednesday, March 4th, as we usually do. And thanks again to everyone. We had Steven and Jeff and Maggie and Chris and Bacon all joining us.
Yeah.
So it was great to see
Very
everyone
fun.
on.
Love it.
Yes.
Can't wait for next month.
Yes.
Next
we're
month's gonna be a
doing
big one.
lots,
Yeah.
Lots of good stuff. So check out the links below. This is where you can follow us in the meantime. Come join us on Discord. It's a lot of fun. And yeah, we'll be posting this video up on our YouTube later today, and we'll be sharing it so you can take a look at the full thing if you haven't seen it yet. But we'll see you guys next month.
Have
Next
a good
month.
year.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.